We're now going to take a look at the answers to the activities that you and your partner should have completed on your own or together as a group. Okay, now question A. What is the total amount of trash collected from 2010 to 2013? The answer that you should have come up with is 17,465. Question B, how many more pounds of recyclables were collected in 2013 than 2010? The key word here is how many more. In this case, we're looking for the difference, so we need to subtract and find the difference between those two values. The answer is 912. Question C, how many more times more recyclables were collected in 2012 than 2010? The key here, or the clue word, is times. We're looking at 4 times more occurred in 2012 than 2010. And finally, question D, the amount of trash collected in 2014 is estimated to be twice the amount collected in 2011. What is that amount? And the amount was 7,950. We're now going to go to activity 2. Please continue the video if you have answered these questions. If you have not, pause the video, work these out before moving on. Okay, in activity 2, question A, explain how you can use estimation to check the reasonableness of your value to your answer in activity 1A. Okay, if you rounded the numbers to the nearest thousand and added, it would give you a very good estimation as to whether your answer is reasonable or whether it makes sense. Question B, explain how you can use addition to check the value of your expression in activity 1B. Well, to find the sum of an answer and the number being subtracted, that is how you could check your answer to see if it made sense, because addition and subtraction are opposite of each other. Problem C, explain how you can use estimation to check the reasonableness of your answer to 1C. If you rounded each of the numbers and then you multiplied by the 4 or 4 times, then your answer should be very similar, and that would show that the answer 4 times is reasonable. And finally, question D is asking you about mental math. You're going to multiply each place value by 2, and that would be a way to use mental math to check the value of your expression. Okay, same thing. We're moving on to activity 3, but if you have not completed it, please pause the video and work it out before going over the answers. Question A asks you, which 2 lakes have a combined area of about 33,000 square miles? Now, once again, it's not asking for an exact answer, it just wants to know about 33,000. So you need to use estimation and rounding strategies, and you should have come up with Lake Huron and Lake Erie. Question B, which lake covers about an area about 3 times greater than Lake Erie? If I took Lake Erie and I did some rounding, multiplied it by 3, I would get the answer of Lake Superior. Lake Erie is almost, not quite, but almost 10,000. 10,000 times 3 is 30,000, and 30,000 is relatively close to the size of Lake Superior. Question C, which lake covers an area that is about 16,000 square miles greater than Lake Ontario? Well, we took Lake Ontario and then we added 16,000 and we would get Lake Huron. The last one, estimate the total area covered by all of the Great Lakes. You're going to take the 5 numbers, do some rounding to the nearest 1,000, add them up, and you're going to get approximately 94,000 square miles of lakes. Okay, now you were asked in what was your answer on your workbook on page 5 to answer question 4. You did not have to answer 5, you certainly could, but it wasn't required. In your own words, how do you know which operation to choose when solving a real-life problem? Back when we started this lesson, we talked about looking for those clue words. And in addition to just identifying those clue words, if you looked in your green packet of math resources that I gave you at the beginning of the year, there is a page called Key Math Terms. And this is something that you can kind of reference as we go through the year. If you're thinking, oh, I don't remember what quotient is, you can look on that page in your resource packet, and it will also be a helpful guide for you. Okay, now if you took a look in your textbook on page 7, notice I do not have a workbook page in the corner. That means there is not a workbook page that goes along with this. It's just kind of reviewing the key things. When you see vocabulary and concept check, it's reviewing those key ideas, those things that we talked about. Please take a look at questions 1 through 7. And if you don't remember the answer to any of these questions, all of them are listed in your textbook. Just go back to that chart that talked about what the different terms are, or look at the green page in your resource book. Once you've completed that activity, I'm going to talk to you about your assignment. If you open up in your workbook to page 6, now this is just in your workbook. There is not a textbook page up here. And when you see on page 6, 1.1 practice, it tells you this is for use after lesson 1.1. We are concluding lesson 1.1, and this will let you know whether you've got that key idea of operations and what operation to use when. We have practice problems with each skill, and then down at the bottom, the word problem you are expected to complete, and you'll need to find the key words in that problem and determine what operation to use. So, once again, complete your workbook, page 6.